and it is a very small series that we are conducting around the activities of the new European Bauhaus and our connection of Ro3kvit with the new European Bauhaus. So we are very happy to have like a series of 3 lectures in the coming period. I will announce them in the end exactly when they are. But today we'll use to explain a little bit more about the new European Bauhaus itself, which is, as most of you know, in general, the organization that connects the European Green Deal and its climate goals to our living environment and the creative sector. But there's much more to tell about that. I think a lot of people's knowledge are just with this one sentence and there where we go. So we hope to figure out a little bit more about that today. But before we do that, maybe Margot, you can explain a little bit more what actually our, let's say, Ro3kvit's connection is to the new European Bauhaus and what kind of projects we have been working on in the past period. So maybe first a word to you.
Welcome everyone. Thank you very much, Lilet, for your introduction. And as an urban coalition, Ro3kvit, we have been working with a new European Bauhaus initiative, sharing their vision of the future. And in our collaboration, during the 5 months that we have worked together, we did the urgent housing project and also circular approach to construction, to reconstruction. And we have also designed a proposal concerning strengthening the municipalities' capacity. And now we are launching this course. These webinars will be conducted together on the platform that will be joined. And now I guess we need to talk about why this collaboration is important for us and for Ukraine, why it is urgent. And to do this, I would like to give the floor to my colleagues who represent New European Bauhaus, Vera Windhagen and Borut Singh. You have the floor.
Thank you, Margot. My name is Vera Windhagen. I'm a part of the New European Bauhaus team, and we are part of the European Commission. So that's maybe good to say. I'm also a designer, so I'm a creative. So I work with a lot of policymakers, and I'll share a little bit with you the general story about the New European Bauhaus. And I'm also responsible for heading the part that we do with Ukraine with our team. And we work with inside the European Commission, but we work with a lot of different stakeholders. Borut will explain a little bit more about this. And we also work with many different colleagues within the European Commission. I'll try to share my screen. Yes, okay. So the European Bauhaus was established a little bit more than 2 years ago as a driver of the European Green Deal. And the Green Deal is, of course, the bigger program to go into the transformation to a more energy efficient, more circular, more sustainable society and economy. And the European Commission does that with a lot of regulations. But we know, of course, that the regulations only are not enough. This happened in a moment in 2020 when we were just in the pandemic and people started to rethink their life, rethinking what we were doing. And Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission, wanted to give people also hope. So she said we need to start thinking where we actually want to go and that this new future is possible. And that is what one of our roles. The name Bauhaus is German. It comes from an original Bauhaus movement that was established in 1990, and it became one of the most influential art and architects and creatives movements of the 20th century, because they changed the paradigm of society. So they changed the way people thought about industry, about the products that they live with, about architecture. So they really reinvented the way we work and the way we live towards an industrial age. And why did they take this name? And later on, it was not only it did not only happen in Germany. It branched out to many different places in the world. So the influence was really huge. And we think that now we're also again in this transition moment towards a new type of economy, new type of society. We need to be more energy efficient. We need to have better solutions for the way we build, the way we live. So this is one of the ways to achieve this. And as I already said, we work very closely with our colleagues who work on the regulations for the Green Deal, for example. So why are we different? Why were we needed? Well, what the European Bauhaus does, it's for the first time, it puts architects, designers, creatives really at the forefront of this transition. So for the first time, we have talks on, okay, you can make new buildings, but what is the quality of these new buildings? Do they last for a short time? But what are the implications? What are the things that you actually want to bring in the experience for people, not only in a short time, but also in a long term? And we work very closely with the community. We have a bottom-up approach. So we did not launch this project as this is what we are going to do, but first we asked people, what do you think that we should focus on most? This is a little bit what we do. So it's again, we have a very broad story. So I hope it's clear enough. We have a series of goals. So we give out funding. Now only within member states in Europe, but soon also in Ukraine. We try to connect people. So we have a network of people. We see what good practices are, and that's also how we connected very quickly with Ro3kvit, because you have the same values, you have the same, we try to make beautiful, sustainable and inclusive living spaces, and we see the same in Ro3kvit, so we partnered up quite quickly, and we try to bring these best practices out. So we try to show, okay, if this is where you would like to go, then this is what it could look like. So we try to build a movement, a community. We try to influence policy making. So we have our own goals, but we also have a lot of links, for example, with the construction sector, with our different colleagues who work on regulations. And we work on spreading the word. So we have a festival, we have a label, and we try to learn and develop, and we have all the time, we show, accumulate knowledge, and we show this. And that's what I will show a little bit later on, because we have a compass that serves as our guiding tool. Yeah, so this is what I said, just to give you an idea. In 2021, 2022, we contributed, our colleagues had 85 million in projects where people could apply, for example, to change a neighborhood into a more beautiful, sustainable and inclusive neighborhood. But we have many different streams like this. This I also already mentioned, so we did not start with a closed call, but we actually asked people, how do you see, where do you see the possibilities of what are the best practices of a new lifestyle for the future? And now after 2 years, you see that we have really grown. So this is our dashboard where you can see, you can visit it on our website, and you see all the projects that have either received funding, that are our partners, that have somehow addressed their interest, that have had activities, and there are many, many. So you can already look at and see if there is a connection between projects, or see what interests you. This is the timeline. For the next years, we will have the same. So we will continue to bring best practices. And just to show you what one of the outcomes is, this is quite futuristic. This is one of our own new buildings in hopefully 5 years. We have a site in Sevilla, in the south of Spain, where it becomes very, very hot. And what you see in the image is a solution with only solar panels. So it becomes 45 degrees there. Marco, let's go ahead.
Вера, я прошу вас...
Vera, can you please remove the Zoom panels, because they block a presentation. If you can put them down, please put them down.
I do that. Like this? Is it better? Because I cannot move them completely out.
No, it's not.
No, huh?
Oh.
No, I can't move. I cannot move.
На жаль.
Зараз стало краще, залишилось...
So now it's better. We have just the right-hand panel, and I have a suspicion that it is the list of the panelists. Can you please, yeah.
Yeah, better?
Yes.
Okay, I continue. And now the presentation itself is stuck. Yes, okay. So one of the ways how we work, so we try to create learning groups or learning teams. For example, on what I said, so we try to see what kind of regulations are blocking us now in advancing towards the use of more biomaterials, for example, in the building sector. Or we try to see how we can change education so that it's more fit to the future. We see how we can use funding in a different way, so that, for example, small projects can ask for funding, because that's normally not what the European Commission does. So we try to change those things. But we also have more themed kind of labs where we work with different stakeholders. And how do mountain areas, how can they change? How do areas that have floods or big fires that have now been there because of climate change, how can they come up with better solutions? And we have a big one on Ukraine. So after we were actually already planning to go to Ukraine. So in our working plan last year, beginning of the year, first thing that we had was to reach out to Ukraine. And then the 24th of February happened. And we said, okay, we have to postpone what we were already planning to do, but we have to do something. And especially our community, we have about 600 partners, big ones, small ones. The Architects Council of Europe, for example, are in there, but also international partners, the construction industry, the cement industry. They all said, you need to do something. So we gathered this community together, and we said, okay, but what are the best practices out there? And very quickly a network established itself. You see a very small example here. One of our ambassadors, Mr. Shigeru Ban from Japan, said, okay, I have this solution from Japan on what to do after earthquakes. I can call quickly the network, and then we implement so that people who are refugees, at least if they are in a sports hall and they need a place to sleep, they have some privacy. So that was one of the first really simple things where we started, and gradually this grew and grew. And there were more projects that that came in through different channels. This is a project in Warsaw, maybe you know it. It's called Opening Up the Schools, and Magda from the project contacted us because what she did is they refurbished an old office building into a school for Ukrainian children, so that they could at least go to school. And she asked us, can you help us to replicate the model? Can you give me the network, the answers to actually help my model to grow? And as you've seen, it's been quite a lot in the news. So that's the type of things we do. So very big, we empower big projects, but we also help small projects. We help with giving visibility, to build a network, and with knowledge. And for knowledge, we have a compass. This is a kind of document that could inspire you to do your project in a beautiful or qualitative, sustainable, so with circularity or biomaterials, and inclusive way, because it cannot be that we all try to be energy efficient, but nobody can afford it, or that we use new types of wood and it's not accessible for people. So we have to always balance these three different values that we work with. It's not it's not meant to be like an evaluation tool, but it's more a tool that asks you questions how you could advance your project. And this rose shows a little bit what our three values are, but also what the three working principles are that we work with. So how can you involve your municipality best? How can you involve your citizens in an inspiring way if you start to work on a new project? And this is one of the examples, but you can find many more in the Compass. This is a project in Slovakia where they try to rethink an area next to a river in a very simple but inspiring way. And it was really a lost area, and you can test here your own project. So I just show you a little bit what the compass looks like and what the different stages are. And I think I should stop here. Okay.
It's my turn then. Sorry for a brief pause. Hello everyone. My name is Borut. I'm Vera's colleague, and I'm a part of the community management team. So you should start seeing the my presentation now. And I have a similar problem than as Vera. I think that you see a big, ugly gray thing on the top that doesn't want to go away, but let's try to work with this. So building a sustainable future, and European Bauhaus encompasses a plethora of different activities, but in the end it all comes down to the community. So when we speak about the community envisioned what the European Bauhaus is, and based on the community outputs that were collected through the co-design phase that Vera mentioned, also the community started growing. Today, the community counts over 800 different entities, and here you can see two on the photos, two groups in the community that are a bit smaller. On the left, you see representatives of the high-level roundtable, which is an advisory body on the new European Bauhaus to the President of the European Commission, Madame von der Leyen. And on the right, you see national contact points, which are our outreach, our long arm in the EU member states. But if we take a look at the whole community, you can see that the big majority are the official partners. These are non-political and non-for-profit organizations. Then we have, of course, the national contact points and high-level roundtable members. Then we have friends, which is a status for companies and public authorities as such. From the beginning, the initiative was open only for non-political and non-profit organizations. That's why also the imbalance in numbers between the partners and the friends, as we opened the initiative to the companies, to the businesses and the public authorities only in April last year. And then there are three more groups of community members that are super important for the development of the initiative, for the discussion, for different exchanges, knowledge exchanges, practice exchanges, and peer learning. The first are NEB Prize winners and finalists. So NEB Prizers are one of the first initiatives launched by our unit back in 2021, and they represent tangible projects of the new European Bauhaus that are already out there. One thing worth mentioning and emphasizing again is that as much as NEB is an innovation in terms of how the Commission works and what it encompasses, the single bits and pieces of European Bauhaus, the values and the working principles are all out there. I'm sure that also a lot of you have embedded values of sustainability and inclusion into your projects, or work in a participatory, multi-level and transdisciplinary way. So one of the real novelties in that sense is bringing the value of beauty and aesthetics into it, into the quality of the experience. But the innovation of the whole new European Bauhaus is that all our activities and the activities of the community encompass all three values as well as all three working principles. So the NEB Prize winners in that sense already show the existing projects that are out there, that are done by small organizations on local level, or big umbrella organizations working on European level activities that implement NEB. And they contribute to the community by bringing this experience of already finished projects on one end, which are the completed projects, or ideas, new ideas, triggering ideas from young people, because the NEB prizes come into two strands in basic. So the completed projects and the NEB Rising Star prize, which are the young people with their concepts and ideas on how to implement them. Every NEB prize, every edition of the NEB prize also focuses on specific area, and the NEB prizes for 2023 focused on education part. Unfortunately, I cannot invite you to participate in this year's edition because the call was closed last week. But hopefully, with the next year, you will also participate or be invited to participate, and then you decide. The last two groups are NEB dedicated cause beneficiaries. Vera mentioned different programs that were mobilized to support the realization of NEB initiative. With the programs, we mean EU funding programs, Creative Europe, Horizon, Erasmus, Life. So the projects that are awarded through these different programs are invited to the community, so they can already share while they're implementing the projects different learnings, their outputs, their milestones, and engage with the community where they see the opportunity to do so. And last, but of course not least, we try to connect our colleagues from different directorate generals, so experts, policymakers, researchers from different fields that link to different aspects of New European Bauhaus to work again with the community, are a part of the community, can also ask the community to participate in their specific sessions, and so on and so forth. So all of these groups together amount amount close to 900 members in 2 years and are growing on monthly basis. And this is my family that I work with on daily basis, if you allow me to say that. Just to explain a bit more about the partners and friends, because the entities that can join from the outside through an application process are basically non-political and non-for-profit organizations which are partners, and then for-profit organizations and public authorities that are friends. I would like to also emphasize that also this is not limited. The NEP community is not limited to the EU member states. Entities outside of the European Union that work outside of the European Union can also join if they have activities that include EU citizens or other stakeholders. So if you collaborate in different projects, if you have different initiatives and you work with individuals or organizations inside the EU, you're eligible to apply. And what is the role of partners and friends in the NEP as such? On one hand, they are key ambassadors and interlocutors for NEP. So they promote the NEP in their own contexts. They work on projects that complement, that help deliver the NEP, and they are also ambassadors in terms of spreading the word and promoting the initiative and its results. They also engage in networking activities and discussions and learning activities with each other in the community and also with us as European Commission. And what they do get and what's the added value of being a part of the community next to networking and peer learning is also access to timely information about different opportunities, funding opportunities, capacity building, skills development opportunities, and having the access to the network of more than 700, apologies for the wrong number there, in the community as such. Through the digital platform that we run, and is restricted only to the members of our community. As you can see, it's a really diverse and vibrant community of the partners. So more than 20 sectors are present, with the three largest one being research and education, with majority of entities there being from higher education sector. Then we have architecture and design, art and culture, but also really big sectors present are those where entities come from urban and rural development sector and housing and build sector. Also in terms of the countries, more than 35 countries are represented. Basically all of the European countries, more or less, and then we have also entities from the US, from South America, and also already some from Asia and Australia. Our community members, not in Cyprus, in Ukraine, are 5. So we have 4 partners: Active House Ukraine, Forza Agency for Sustainable Development of the Carpathian region, Handicraft Chamber of Ukraine, and Rethink. And from the friends, we have Active House Academy. We do hope that more of the organizations will be interested in joining in the community, because we would like to increase the number of entities coming from Ukraine that are part of our community in the next months as such. Vera talk about the NEB Lab, but I want to emphasize another aspect of the NEB Lab. NEB Lab is positioned in the community and is there to serve as a think and do tank for different community members. It was officially launched in April last year, and is a project-based structure, and it basically supports delivery of the NEB initiative by enabling. Not by enabling, but by hosting projects that deliver different kinds of transformations. The idea of the projects that enter the NEB Lab are that they embed the NEB, the European Bauhaus values and principles through concrete activities. But these values and principles are then a bit deconstructed into specific criteria, like that we require partners from different countries to participate in the NEB Lab projects, that come from different professions, that work with design methods, and that the outputs and results from the projects actually contribute to learning of the community on one end, to informing policy and decision makers on the other hand on what kind of changes should be delivered through the policy. And the third aspect is that the projects either are replicable in different contexts. So there's a project on how to develop or how to transform an urban district, a neighborhood, and the process, the methodology developed in this NEB Lab project can be taken, let's say, from Ljubljana, which is my hometown, and can be used, let's say, in a neighborhood in Munich, in Germany. So this is something that we as a NEB unit and as community managers facilitate and take care of, and we help different community members that come to us with the idea to develop it, find partners, and kickstart it later on. And what I just said is showcased by this picture. So there is an idea. Then we organize activities that help aggregate partners around the idea. We call them the NEB Lab pitching sessions. And then the facilitation that supports the project development includes the mapping of project purposes, assets, and needs, and feedback on how aligned the project with the NEB is. And then we also have two specific roles for community members to take on. These are sponsors or hosts, which means that either NEB friends or NEB partners offer to host the activities in their premises, or sponsor them through by providing them their own resources. Of course, the most obvious one are financial, but not only. Most of the community members pledge to offer support in through having their experts and expertise available, and help network and and support the communication and outreach with the NEB Lab projects and activities. In that sense, all the community members are invited and encouraged to participate in the NEB Lab projects. They can participate in community-led ones and also in the commission-led ones. In commission-led ones, we see these moments more or less as moments when we reflect and design specific activities inside the project together. While with the community-led, there are basically two basic angles. One is to come with the idea and develop a project, and you can either be the holder of the idea and the project manager, project coordinator in that sense, and lead the process, or you can join the project just as a community member, and you contribute to the development in line with your expertise, scope, and resources available. So different projects offer different collaboration options, which allows for a lot of flexibility in terms of your or NEB community's members' engagement in the NEB. We also have several different working methods, how we work together, and I would also like to present to you a bit about them, so you have a bit of a feeling how we work. Every Monday we are sending out a community update, which is a newsletter that informs the community about news from European Bauhaus, which means what kind of funding calls are available, what kind of changes on the policy level happened, what is planned with the new European Bauhaus lab projects that are led by European Commission. That's one group of news. Then the other group of news is related to the events that are organized with and for the community. We organize regular events on monthly or month and a half-ish base time scale, where we present our work, where we co-design new ideas that we want to implement with the community, where we organize pitching sessions to support the presentation of different ideas. We also organize capacity building sessions. The last one was, for example, on participatory approach and how to plan it, how to use it in your own context. And of course, there are news from the community, where community members share invitations, reports, different calls to actions regarding their work related to NEP. We also run a community platform, which is our digital home inside the wiki space of the European Commission. It's closed for the NEP community, and it offers additional information on one hand to the information that you can find on the website. A good example of that are all the contacts of NEP partners or NEP friends, which are available only inside the community. It hosts a forum structure to support exchanges and discussions, and it has its own knowledge base with frequently asked questions about different aspects of NEP as such. And it's also a channel for the NEP community to again promote, post, exchange, and comment on each other's activities. Working sessions I already mentioned. What I didn't mention is that we also ask the community what kind of topics they would like to engage in, or even present their own work through specific sessions. We also promote events from the community through our website and through our social media channels, and we also offer participation in your events, in communities events. So meaning that our colleagues, depending on the topic and depending on the scope of work, are very happy to participate in these events if the time allows, because as just to repeat what Vera and me both mentioned a couple of times, European Bauhaus is a bottom-up initiative, and one of our main responsibilities and role is to really strengthen this link and participate at the events, not only online but also in person, is one of the vehicles that allows us to do that. And yeah, the general promotion of events, projects, results on our Instagram account by tagging us, and since very recently also on our LinkedIn one. So again, there's something that we request from the community members as ambassadors and interlocutors, but again, on the other hand, we also try to provide in the same or even bigger manner the same things. So also promoting what the community does, what kind of impact related to NEP they have created or they have seen. So there's this mutual collaboration all across. In the end, I would also like to tell you about the NEP Festival. The first edition of NEP Festival took place last year in Brussels. In connection with all the numbers that you see written there, it is important to say that the NEP community is very involved in the preparation of the festival and its own implementation. And this was showcased by 200 side events that were organized outside of Brussels, across Europe and beyond, and more than 100 projects that were showcased in the fair. The preparations for 2024 festival have already started. And again, the community will have a big role in defining what the content of the festival will be. And at the end, I would like to invite you to join the NEP community, either as partners or friends. I'm sure that the presentation will be shared also later on, but we can also share the links here in the chat, how you can join the community. If you have any questions regarding the community, don't hesitate to contact us either through our functional mailbox, the website, and the form to write us on which is on the website, or directly by writing to boru.sync@ec.europa.eu, which is quite a classical address for European institutions. And just a bit of a self-promotion here. You have the website, our social media accounts, and you can also sign up for a general newsletter that comes out once every month. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow, that was quite some information to swallow in a short time, but super interesting, and how rich a program you presented to us. It's really fantastic, and indeed it will be on YouTube, so people just can see it again, which I think is important. And I think Borut, you managed to make yourself a huge family, which is fantastic, of course. Who has a family of so many people? So it's really great. And indeed, I think it will be a challenge, and the whole idea on success or not is how to, let's say, manage those family meetings and how to get those links together. And I think you gave some insights in all the possibilities there. I have a very practical question about the terms that you use between partners and friends. And can you be a beneficiary and a partner at the same time, or a beneficiary and a friend at the same time of your project?
Thank you for the question. Very important one. Yeah, you can be both. And I should have been more clear with that. So the beneficiaries are actually projects as such. So the projects join as a beneficiary of NEP funding calls, but then all the project partners are of course invited to join as partners or friends. Different projects decided differently. Some only have project coordinators coming on board to the community. Some decide to include the whole project partnerships. So there are different practices, but yeah, definitely in this sense, these entities kind of have two hats when it comes to being members of NEP community.
Okay, great. For now, maybe also connect to the audience. Maybe there are many questions. You can write them in English, or you can write them in Ukrainian, both possibilities. You can also raise your hand, like Marco just illustrated, and we will give you the floor. So maybe Marco.
Так, я маю питання,
Yes.
чи ви
I
приймаєте
have a question. If you
друзі та партнери
accept
організації, які займаються
organizations
програмами, чи головною
which specialize in certain areas, or so is it true that the only condition for you to accept your partners is sharing the values? So, or should we be of a specific area?
No, we accept all types of organizations and organizations dealing with a plethora of topics. That's the richness, and sometimes, and I speak now as a community manager, sometimes also a curse, because it's having very heterogeneous community means there's a lot of different interests and different needs that we need to address inside the community. But I mean, that's a story for maybe another discussion. But ultimately, yeah, all types and all different kinds of organizations can join, no matter how they work, where they work, and what do they want to achieve. Because through that, we actually implement. I mean, this also reflects the working principles and values of NEB as such.
Okay, then maybe, yeah, we have a question which is more remark. So I asked Maria if we should bring her into the conversation herself so that it becomes a conversation, but no answer yet. So let me read it out first. Yeah, there she is already. Great. Maria, maybe you make your point clear yourself. If you get camera and mic working. At the moment, not. No. Okay. So the question of whether there is an alternative to building communities within new Bauhaus is an important one. One possible answer is to have a combination of political hall meetings for those interested in getting involved, as well as administrative meetings to discuss the logistics of community building. Additionally, local history intersections and local media involvement could be used to help create a sense of community and facilitate interaction between the different members of the community. Is this something that you recognize or could relate to?
I mean, yeah, definitely. Building the community, or yeah, let's call it building and managing community from Brussels, of course, carries its own challenges. And building, and then on top of that, having such a heterogeneous community as we have, complicates things further. Complicates also in a good way, because it allows us also a lot of experimentation of what works, what doesn't work. And this is also one of the main principles on how we build the community. I can give you an example of a pilot, and that we will launch towards the end of the by the end of the Q1 this year, which is the concept of local chapters. So we want to we know that what is missing with this community building is actually in-person meetings and events, people getting together, exchanging, and enabling establishment of local chapters, which will be self-run and self-governed circles of NEP community members, either in a certain city or in a certain area, or maybe even on the level of a country when it comes to smaller countries, is something that we want to explore together with the community. Because on one hand, we got the signal from the community that this is something that could be useful. Then we organized the co-design session where we defined the different needs of the community in that sense, and what do they expect from local chapters. So we are in the process of finalizing the concept, which would entail a process, because as much as we are not fan of super tight rules that define everything, there needs to be some kind of rules that enable us to kind of manage different structures inside the community. So we are in a process of finalizing a concept and the rules that would be out there, and then we will call upon the community to pilot the local chapters concept, and we will monitor the piloting by the end of the year, and then decide if this is something that we keep in the community, or we go back to the drawing board when it comes to having a more tight communities or sub-communities in specific local areas inside the NEP, and how to do that.
I think part of this is answering the next question as well, and that is about the decision-making process on accepting partners or friends of the community. I think you already
Yeah, but if I can just add, so when it comes to the partners, there's an application where entities applying for partners also need to explain how do they want to implement and contribute to the NEP. So those applications are screened inside our unit, more concretely by my colleague Miroslava, and through the screening process, the decision is made whether somebody is invited to join as a partner or not. In most of the times, the only problem with the screening process is that sometimes for-profit entities but do apply as partners, but they should apply for friends. So there is a screening process, while for the friends, the screening process entails whether the friends committed to the specific requests from the NEP community, which stem from the Green Deal and target set in the Fit for 55 policy package.
Great. Maybe you read Volodymyr's question.
Так, доброго вечора. Які
Yes,
проєкти
good evening. So what projects NEP is already supporting in Ukraine, and whether you are planning to support any projects in 2024? Do you have any Ukrainian partners? I think that, Vera, this is your question.
We like Margot said, we started about 5 months ago, and first we wanted to contribute with knowledge, and what our community said, and I think also Ro3kvit said, there are already many ongoing things, but first you have to understand the needs in Ukraine. So we really have to not start with implementing things or doing, you first have to understand where you are. So that's the first thing that we actually did with experts from Ro3kvit. We worked on a research, on a study with different municipalities on urgent housing, on using sustainable materials, capacity building, and this is also how we will continue. But in the meantime, we have accumulated quite a lot of partners that are also working in Ukraine. So we have already gathered, I know that, I don't know if you saw the speech of President von der Leyen last week. She mentioned Eurocities. We work closely with Eurocities, who are also doing a study in and implementing pilot projects. So now we're transitioning a little bit from, okay, where can we contribute, or what can we do, to actually funding first projects in Ukraine. So I cannot say everything yet because it's still in the making, but we will have funded projects for cities in Ukraine in 2024. That's very general, huh? It's not a...
дійсно дуже в таких загальних
Right, it is rather general, but on behalf of Ro3kvit, I would like to say that as the organization, we curate an educational program initiated by New European Bauhaus, which is focusing on municipalities and actors. But we are planning a lot of other projects, and we hope that we will have an opportunity to implement them together.
And there is a next one, I think also to Vera, maybe both of you can answer that one. It is more fundamental or conceptual question, why the name European Bauhaus was chosen. How is it connected to the historical Bauhaus? Is that aesthetical? Is that conceptual? And if you can collaborate or elaborate a little bit on this concept of beauty that you have in one of those values, like what do you mean by beauty? How is it understood?
I'll start from the beginning, because a couple of years ago was the celebration of 100 years of the old Bauhaus, and it happened at the same time that Ursula von der Leyen, so the president, who this is a little bit her favorite project, and also, I mean, she's very much involved herself, and she went to an exhibition of 100 years of Bauhaus in Germany, and she met one of the most important climate scientists who has worked on the climate agenda in Paris. And they together, the story goes, said, okay, but this concept of Bauhaus is what we need in this time and age. So this is actually how it happened. And and then they started to think it through. And it's really more the conceptual part of Bauhaus that we use than drawing direct inspiration in the way of working of the old. I mean, what we adopt is working cross-disciplinary. What the old Bauhaus did, they stimulated creativity because they were very new in the way they connected the different creative fields together. That's what we also we see, that innovation comes from the connection between different fields. That's how you start new things. That's how you find solutions. But they also had form follows function, and they also had quite things that we should maybe make different nowadays. So it's not literally the translation, but it's more conceptual. And then the second part of the question is, we are very aware. For example, also many other countries say it's very German, the name. It's very, and also all the contexts that we have outside Europe say it's very, why is it European Bauhaus? So why is it linked around, why is the name linked to Europe? Because that's where we started. So it's just that it shows a little bit more the phase that we come from and the phase that we are in right now than the phase that we will go to. So it's because it's so closely linked to the European Green Deal, is that the name stayed like this. But you never know what will happen in the future. I don't know if this is enough answer. I try to give some context information. Okay, good.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's quite elaborate and clear. That it's indeed more the conceptual idea of the working together than specifically the position they had in their time, because we are now living in another time with other questions and other let's say urgencies. Although I have to add that I was in a conference at the Bauhaus in Dessau a few years ago, when there was, and I think so that's very important to this connection. It was about the big challenges ahead us, mainly concerning resources and climate change. And lack of resources, and they were then projecting on one of the Bauhaus buildings the film "The Inconvenient Truth," which is of course telling very much what this is all about. So it's I think they have been busy also a lot with those things that were already present in the 60s and being discussed. The question from Alexander is partly answered by you already, Vera. When do Ukrainian architects have a possibility to take part in the prizes and projects? Because he says it could be rather relevant in the current war situation. And Boyd, you said it was just closed another call for those prizes. But it will reopen for next year.
Yeah, but it's also important to know that the NEP prizes have geographical limitations. So the first edition was available only to the projects that applicants could come from wherever, but only with projects and ideas that happened inside the EU 27. Wow, okay. So with this year, the geographical scope enlarged to the Western Balkans. And it's impossible to say at this moment in time what will happen with the next year. But our ambition with the NEP prizes is to grow also in terms of who can apply to them. So no promises being made, but do know that our ambition is to open it up.
And I have one addition. If you find a partner in either the Western Balkans or in a European country, for example, through our dashboard, and you link up, there's of course no problem.
Yeah. Be smart. Margot, maybe you read Maria's? I guess
Так,
it's
ми маємо два
Yes,
питання.
we have two questions in Ukrainian. And actually, Maria has dubbed it also in English. If a temporary pavilion is the solution for the mobility in your opinion.
That is,
Yeah, maybe it's a follow-up to the first Maria's question, but I'm sorry, I don't understand what the temporary pavilion means or to what it connects.
No, I thought it was something that I was missing, that it was the temporary pavilion was something existing, but maybe Marie, you can elaborate a little bit on it? Transborder and mobility of communities.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Maria. Maybe I don't know enough about the concepts of transborder and mobility of communities, so I don't really have a good answer on that. I mean, what I would say, and what you can see also through different programs, maybe through different commission programs, CEO programs, most notably probably the Erasmus one, is this support for creating a community across the borders, and then also supporting the mobility of it. At the moment, when it comes to the NEB, of course, we not foster, but we encourage the mobility of our communities and our partners to meet at the end of the day. But we also have to recognize that we don't have the means to support it. As such, you know that European Bauhaus is not a self-standing program. Our financial means are restricted in terms of what we can support as a unit, and I would say that maybe Maria's idea is something that might come to fruition or to realization in the future with the further development of the community and NEB as such.
Мабуть, тут я хочу додати до питання Марії.
I guess I would like to add here to Maria's question, working with various communities. You have mentioned already that you are interested in cooperating with various communities, localities, and local communities. So do the project that you implement in various countries have mechanisms of adjusting to local concepts, or are these projects all-purpose projects, regardless of locality?
you want to give it a go, Gord?
Please, Vera.
No, I mean, of course, I think where you implement something depends very much on the context, the local context, the people, the neighborhood, the climate. That is, if you look at our compass, for example, that's one of the first things that we try to say and give also as a guidance, and it's also one of the principles that we live by. So it's one of the things that that's why we have so many different types of partners, friends, contact points that have this foot on the ground, because that's in reality where things happen. I don't know if that's an answer, but you can do the second part of the question.
I don't have a good thing to add, so you did well, Vera. Thanks.
I invited Alex. Am I muted? No, I invited Alexander to the discussion. He has a point to make. Maybe Alexander, your mic is off. Can you put it on? Yeah, great.
Alex, hi.
Hi.
I will proceed in English just to be direct to our partners.
Yeah, you can speak whatever you want. You are not obliged.
Some comments to my question. That NEP is really a nice movement. It is really a big perspective for Ukraine and big contribution for green recovery of Ukraine, according to your values and principles. But we need to start practice right now. Not, yes, we need some lectures, but to be honest, it's rather easy to read these NEP compass principles and start adapt them to our projects. And we have no time when we win, start this process again, because it's time, it's a resource. For this reason, please include us, Ukraine, a possibility for us to design next new European Bauhaus prizes, separate sections, just a project in Ukraine. It's a pleasure for us to unite with other companies in Europe, but we would like to design for Ukraine, not for Balkans, not for Europe. Sorry, we have another problem, and we have an opportunity to solve this problem now with your vision and support. Think about this. To be the first idea, include us in next NEP principle, net prizes, or separate section or contest for Ukraine, for Ukrainian projects. Europeans could also take a participation in these awards or something else. But we need to start right now, because it's not easy for us to do immediately sustainable buildings. Please save our time, think about this. Thank you so much.
Shall I reply? Okay, yeah, Alexander, I'm with you. I'm very much with you. I understand, and I think I mean, that's also what the big message that the experts from Ro3kvit have been saying to us. Our network, you know, the Architects Council in Europe. So everybody's been telling us this. So we are working on it. Yeah, that's maybe what I can say. But I understand very well your message.
Thank you, Alexander. Very important call for action, basically. And yeah, very good. Thanks a lot. Arina is asking, how are you going to deal with the Ukrainian identity, architectural and/or cultural, while developing projects for Ukrainian cities? Do you think it's enough to work with Ukrainian architects? Also, there are not so many of them in comparing to Western Europe. Or are you going towards universal European architecture language in this case? Are you deciding on that in the first place? My question would be, because I don't think so.
No, indeed, and I think it's a very important question, and I think maybe Margot and the ones who are curating now the upcoming webinars for the municipalities are maybe most fit to answer the questions. I don't know if you can change roles, Margot, but I think, I mean, it should be part, of course, of a reconstruction. So it should be part of a conversation. I know internally that our colleagues who deal with culture and sports inside the European Commission are also very busy on this. So they also are very much about preservation of Ukrainian heritage, but also identity, and they do whatever they can to support it. But Margot, I'm going to give you the floor.
Так, мабуть, тут я почну з того, що...
So I guess here I will start with the first joint pilot project, which doesn't focus on specific design. We are going to strengthen the capacity. It's rather an educational project which will support local communities to understand what tools they have and to improve the competencies that they already have. And also here I need to add that anyway, this pilot project is adjusted to Ukrainian experts. It will be done both in English and Ukrainian. And so all our work is targeting the needs of Ukrainians and how to adjust the solutions to the Ukrainian context, because we can be inspired by best experiences, but the context is very specific. So it is very important to combine the available practices and the context.
Well, I think we're getting to no open questions I see in the Q&A. We're getting also close to our time. So we covered a lot. There's one last thing that Margot forgot. Go ahead.
Ні, я просто бачу ще одне питання у чаті.
No, I can see another question in the chat, not in Q&A, but in the chat, and I would like to voice it in Ukrainian. So what is the opportunity to join the project if at present I am stationed in the Netherlands, but I am Ukrainian?
Yeah, the question here is what do you mean by the project, right? If there in a way, if we're talking about the projects that happen inside the NebLab and so on and so forth, there are no limitations who can join. In the end, it's up to the project coordinators to decide whether they accept an entity or an individual outside of the NEP community, if they can join or not. But if we talk about the NEP community, and I think it's this is also a thing that I didn't emphasize in the beginning, only entities can join the European Bauhaus community. So individuals cannot join, unfortunately. But then again, with the entities, if they work for European citizens, with European citizens and stakeholders, they can join wherever they are and whoever they are, I would say. I mean, there is no really no criteria on that.
Так, я маю доповнення від Олександра.
Yes, and I have an addition here from Alexander. So, is there any opportunity to join in supporting Ukrainian projects which are already being supported, and how to get information about the projects of the new European Bauhaus, which are now active and which now are focusing on Ukraine, so that we could join maybe these projects, not the community, but the project themselves?
Yeah, shall I go? The projects that are already, our dashboard is being refreshed, but you can look at the partners and the projects that we have now in Ukraine and contact them. That's one option. You can, if it's more general, you can also contact us. So we can see where we can fit, or you can contact other partners. But that's the limitation, I think, that we have right now. But more and more Ukrainian projects are showing up. What is difficult to see, and maybe that is good to mention, is that a lot of our community that have, for example, a headquarters in Brussels do a lot in Ukraine. So the limitation that we see, and maybe that's what we should learn from this session, is that we make that more visible, because that could probably help also a lot.
Yeah, maybe I would also like to basically extend a call to urbanists and architects who are in the audience to also get in contact with Ro3kvit, because all the time we are looking for collaboration in our projects. There's the network is large, but it needs to be enlarged with primarily Ukrainian urbanists and architects. So please contact us if you want to collaborate on certain projects. We do have another last question, so let's make that then really the last one. I think it's an interesting one. It's an overarching one again, less practical but more on a larger scale. That is the question: how do you in general see the idea of implementing sustainable architecture? So, for instance, if we talk about Germany, the only way to achieve the goals of the climate change is to stop building at all if we want to achieve those goals in 2040. Do you have any ideas on that?
Well, this is also a more general answer, but the European Commission has launched also the renovation wave. And we know that to reduce CO2, 95% of buildings need to be renovated. So a big challenge is also in renovation and not in building new. And I think that's where a lot of added value would be. So so yes, we see that building new is not the solution for specific cases.
So, thanks again. I think it was a very rich presentation and conversation, and I think a lot of more knowledge is out now on the work you do, which is fantastic. Thank you very much for it. Very important work, and hopefully we will collaborate more and hear more from you in the future. I thank you again for being here, and I would like to close off, and then later maybe Marco would like to say some few words as well. But I would like to announce the next two lectures, which are about the new European Bauhaus projects by Ro3kvit that were mentioned already sometime. So we have a Wednesday, February 22. Wednesday, Friday, 22 February, which is a Wednesday. And normally all our lectures are on Thursday, so mind this one is on Wednesday, by Natasha Kozup and Miriam Niemeyer on circularity. And we have Thursday, the 2nd of March, by Natalia Misak and Philip Moiser on housing for internally displaced people. So stay tuned. After that, the lecture series will continue as well. So stay tuned on our socials and Insta and all the different formats that you get in touch with us. Marco, you close up.
Так, всім я дуже дякую.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone. And all the useful links will be shared in our comments to all our public platforms on Facebook, on the Instagram, and you will see them on the YouTube. So I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our colleagues Borut and Vera for joining us today. I guess today we had one of the hottest discussions ever in our lecture program, and this is delightful. It means that NEB has the values which are shared by Ukraine and Ukrainians, and we hope that the Ukrainian community eager to cooperate with NEB will grow, and we are open to collaboration, to new ideas, and in our chat you can find our contacts. Dear visitors, please contact us. And finally, I invite everyone to discuss our research presented during the next lectures. We would like to get your feedback. This is very important for us, not just to tell you things, how good we are at researching, but also to get your feedback. And finally, I would like to say that the 3 lectures which we have mentioned are supported by the International Vidrodzenia Renaissance Foundation. And today we have this lecture supported too. So thank you very much, dear colleagues. Thank you, dear visitors and guests. See you during our next lecture. Thank you.